Welcome, everybody, to episode 69 of PT Shop Talk. On today's episode, we have a special guest, Mahryah Shain, to talk a little bit about hair health and his journey. And we finish off with an electric top 5 greatest hair metal bands from the 1980s. With me, as always, is Nick, Kickstart My Heart Doling, and Jeremy, he on a steel horse he rides, Van Klompenberg. Welcome, gentlemen, but more importantly, welcome Mahryah.
Welcome.
Wait, I don't get a good hair metal.
Yeah. Well, you know, I got about 50 minutes to figure out what it's gonna be. We'll end with one.
Yeah, I would go House of Pain, but
I'll take House of Pain.
Faster Pussycat just doesn't have
Pain Shane.
The catalog.
That's good.
But
That's
yeah,
good.
House of Pain Shane. Whoa.
You just came off the cuff with that, Nick?
Sometimes.
That's very good. All right. So today we got about 50 minutes with you. So we're going to burn a little bit, but that's okay. We always like to start a little bit with a quick little segment, this or that, so the audience gets to know where you sit with us. So some of the questions they're going to see maybe like they don't make sense, and that's okay. It makes sense to us. We'll start a timer. It's just a little bit of rapid fire. We each ask about 4 questions, and we'll just go around robin. You just kind of answer from the heart. Give us just a quick answer. You don't have to spend a lot of time thinking about it, and then we'll move on. Let me cue up some music. Perfect. That adds a little tension. We like the tension. I'll start us off, and then I'll go me, Jeremy, Nick, and we'll shoot for like 3 or 4 of them quick. All right. First question: better television hair, MacGruber or Kenny Powers?
MacGruber. You guys can me. Yeah, MacGruber.
Yep, these are all for you.
They're all for you.
Okay, all for me. Okay, good.
All for you.
Yep.
MacGruber. All right.
Oh yeah.
Jeremy?
MacGruber.
All right. Eardrums or air guitar?
I'm an air guitar guy because I like the hips.
All right.
Can't do that with the drums.
All right.
Can't do kicks or hips.
That's what it's all about.
Okay. More legit phobia: snakes or spiders?
Oh.
Spiders.
Spiders, huh?
I only say spiders because like you walk through a spider web and it like lingers with you all day because that spider is like on you somewhere all the time.
Fair.
Incorrect,
but fair. Yes.
I would consider it the correct answer.
But I wanted to say snake in tribute to Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
But I was thinking spiders just because all day long I'm like, oh, there's a spider on me somewhere.
You don't got snakes going down your throat while you're sleeping.
All
right. Better pickled food: beets, eggs, or fish?
Beets. Mainly because I haven't had pickled eggs. I don't really want to, and I guess, and same with fish. Haven't had a lot of pickled fish. Not high on my list.
Yeah,
well,
that's fair.
I know where you sit.
Now you know that's where I sit. That's my line in life, right there.
Yep.
Okay.
Better sport: basketball or wrestling?
Oh well, I have to say basketball, but there's no. You're gonna just get. Someone's gonna hate you. Someone's gonna hate you. Someone just turned off your podcast right now.
You're fine.
We're fine.
We've
losing
done it to
those
each other. Okay, more disgusting holiday food: eggnog or lefse?
I don't even know what lefse is.
I know we're too Midwest. When I wrote that, I'm like, this is way too Midwestern.
So I'm gonna say that one.
Let's say lefse. Okay.
Yeah.
The correct answer would have been both. But...
Yeah. All right. Better movie dad: John Matrix from Commando or Brian Mills from Taken? If you had to pick who your father was,
who would you be safest with?
Taken.
Oh, there we go. Also the correct.
Because he's gonna come get me for years.
Not just one. He's not going to kill 200 dudes one time.
This is a simple callback. My argument back to that, Mahryah, you and I are creating a wedge. I don't like it. But
you'll bring it back with a hair.
John Matrix from Commando. You don't have. You're one and done. He saved you once. He doesn't have to keep saving you as you get taken repeatedly.
Yeah, but what if I keep getting taken all the time?
But then he's
like
a terrible
3
father.
or 4 times.
Yeah,
there's nobody left alive to take you.
After the first kidnapping, the murder rate was so high, nobody was even considering it after that.
All right, what do you got, Jeremy?
All right, better morning drink, coffee or tea?
Oh, coffee. There's hands down coffee.
Yep.
No offense to tea drinkers, but coffee.
Okay, if you're at a local fair or outdoor event, what is the better condiment for your corn dog? Ketchup or mustard?
Mustard.
Right on. We're back in good graces.
Like a grown man. You guys got one more in you?
Yeah.
All right. Our listeners are huge fans of geography, so I always like to ask this question.
How far?
This way, further distance from Green Bay, Wisconsin, a round trip to Washington, D.C., or Los Angeles, California? One-way trip.
California.
Longer, 2,127 miles versus 1,824. They were very close, though.
Ooh, easy.
You know your geography. Well done.
No, it is more just a confidence thing. I knew I had a 50-50 chance. I should just say it definitively.
Yeah,
there you go.
You did not hesitate.
Yeah.
Not even a question. All right, better evening drink, wine or beer?
Wine.
Wine.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
Beer
right.
makes me tired. Beer, personally, I just fall asleep when I drink beer. I don't know why, but I always have. I've like wanted to be one of those dudes that hangs out with the beer, but I have one. I just fall asleep.
Yeah.
Mine doesn't do it to me though.
It's a perfect nighttime drink.
It is like maybe
Right
that is
to
a
bed.
perfect nighttime drink. Man.
All right. My final one. We're getting into the spooky season, so to speak. So, more enjoyable movie choice: a scary movie or a comedy movie?
You know, we go back and forth. Maybe a scary comedy.
We've talked about that before.
Yeah.
The merging of the two.
Maybe it's
Coming
a scary
around.
comedy. I don't know.
Scary.
It really depends on where I'm at that night. Both are
Gotcha.
great.
Okay.
And I'm gonna
Fair.
pick
I like
both.
that.
Fence
Jeremy's
Traveler. All right.
100% comedy. So
That's all
100%
good.
comedy.
Jeremy.
Never scared. I was gonna ask, like, would you rather be embarrassed or afraid? I would rather be embarrassed for sure on that one.
Really?
Well, that's a good question. Would I rather be embarrassed or afraid?
Yeah.
Oh, Jeremy, that was a
That's
great
very-
question.
very
Why didn't you
Carl
bring
Jung
that
of
up?
you. Like,
I
I
know.
would actually
Oh,
rather be embarrassed because fear has an unknown element to it. Where when you're
Agreed.
embarrassed, you know, like, oh, I have no pants on, I am embarrassed. But
Yeah.
fear is like, am I gonna die? What's happening? Where's my taken dad who's gonna save me because I'm in the back of a van?
Without
And
pants on.
again, I don't know where I'm going. Again. So
One
it
rocket
has-
Yeah.
launcher will take right care of that
Yep.
band, Nick
Yeah.
Rolling.
Yep.
Why didn't I
We'll
pick
move
my
on.
commando dad?
I don't want to belabor that topic.
Well, thanks for being a good sport with those, Brian. Those are always fun for us. It just brings up a lot of old topics we have that we have always argued about. So that's fun for us. So we appreciate you being a good sport on that. But now tell us a little bit about kind of your journey. I know we're here to talk a little bit about hair health.
Sure.
So maybe a little bit about science behind it, and then a little bit on how you got interested in it, and now kind of what you guys are doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll reverse it because it makes a better
Any way that makes sense.
segue into like. So I'll keep it quick. So I'll wrap it up fast. So
Oh, you're
basically,
fine. Take your time.
everyone in my family's bald. I should be totally bald right now in my life. I'm happy to have what I have, but all the men in my family are totally bald. So my father started losing his hair. It was, mid 90s, somewhere in there. And he's like, what am I going to do? I don't want to lose my hair. And so and there's nothing out there. Like we've always looked for natural remedies for everything. We've always believed that our bodies work synergistically with nature and that anything that we need to heal our body and to make our body perform the way the body's supposed to perform, nature can supplement and strengthen that area of our body that's out there. It exists. We've been around for millions of years working with nature to stay alive. So what's changed since then? Not a lot, I don't think. So we've always had that approach. So when he got sick, he was like, he's not sick. When he started losing his hair, he's like, what do I do? What do I do? And so like we started looking around and seeing, and there's always been like natural remedies, but there are things like rub an onion on your head, things like that, which, I
Cayenne
get it. Like
pepper, that
the
was a big one.
the sulfuric content is helpful for your hair, but it's never going to be enough by rubbing an onion on your hair to get that what you need, and you're going to smell and not have friends. So it kind of defeats the whole self-confidence issue attached with hair loss right there. So he went down the drug route. He got like all the drugs, the same drugs that were developed in the 70s that we're using today. He started taking those, and he started getting sick. He started like getting lethargic. He started developing breasts because it altered his hormones. And we're like, no, this isn't worth it. This isn't cool. And my mother's from Italy, and so she was talking to one of our cousins in the Lake Como region about this. And there's like, there's this little lab in my neighborhood that's doing some really cool things in this natural remedy of hair loss. And so we're like, oh, get some, send it to us. Let's see how it works. So she sent it over, and it worked really well, and it was totally natural. And so basically my family became we became the North American distributor for that company. And that's what opened up the doors. And then once we were in, we're like, well, let's figure out what hair loss is. And, because we didn't really know, we just knew we had something that worked and it was natural. So it didn't have side effects, and it was, and so then we started like researching, like, what is this? How does it work? Why does it work? What is hair loss? And then we got curious, and we took it from there. So, and then once we started discovering more about like what the mechanics of hair loss were, then we're like, okay, we could do better than this. We could do better than what this is doing. And that's what really opened up our journey in terms of launching More Hair Naturally, is that. So in terms of the science, what the basic thing that we discovered, which was a pretty cool discovery. We didn't discover it, but what we learned was that, so the majority of people, when they lose their hair, there's tons of reasons for hair loss. There's medication, stress, illness. There's tons and tons of reasons. However, the main reason is a genetic one, and it's because of something called DHT, which anyone who's Googled, like, why is my hair falling out? They've come across this term DHT. It stands for dihydrotestosterone, but what is called DHT. And what that is when the body breaks down testosterone, it creates a byproduct called DHT. Now, that's generally just excreted through your body. It's not a big deal. But when it passes by the follicle, it gets stuck in these little potholes on the follicle. I know that's not scientific, but it's a good visual. So it gets stuck in these little potholes. Now, these potholes, that's the generic trait of hair loss. It's not about like you inherited hair loss. What you inherited are these potholes. You either inherited a lot, you inherited a little. But when the DHT passes by, it gets stuck in these potholes. And when it gets stuck, it cuts the blood flow off to the follicle. So over time, as more and more gets stuck, less and less blood is being delivered to the follicle gets weaker and weaker, and then it eventually dies. Now, the interesting part about the genetics is that it's really a combination of how many of these potholes you inherited and how much testosterone you're creating. So, because you could have a ton of these potholes, but very little testosterone, which is why a woman will generally start to see hair loss later in life, because she may have inherited tons of potholes and have lots of hair loss in her family, but she's not producing a lot of testosterone. So there's less DHT is being made, and it takes longer to accumulate to actually start to affect the follicles. So when we start looking at it from that angle, we're like, okay, so how can we get that DHT off the follicle? Because that seems like the simplest approach. You do that, you get the blood flowing back to the follicle, and then the follicle can start to produce hair again the way it's supposed to. Yeah. So that once we found that out, that's what really like opened up our minds into terms of like, here's the problem. Now, where's the solution? And then we just started researching medical journals all over the world, finding out like what's being done in this. Because the thing is that like the hair loss science essentially per the marketplace stopped in 1970 with minoxidil and finasteride. Basically just stopped, and Propecia stopped. Yeah. So we're like, this is ridiculous.
Was there a reason? I don't want to, but is there a reason why?
Well, they're drugs.
Mm-hmm.
and drugs just have the power to take over and do and claim everything. You know what I mean?
Why I'm asking, it's very interesting because my understanding is the very similar thing happened with a lot of, we'll just say steroid classified drugs in the 70s once they were kind of 70s and into the 80s, where once they were deemed to be, quote unquote bad, all research, like they said, people like the bodybuilders who are out there pumping it right now are using the same products that were being used in the 60s and 70s that came over from the Soviet Union.
Right.
So it's interesting that you're sharing this, and the same thing apparently happened with hair medication too.
That's the thing. We were like, research didn't stop. Scientists don't stop. Why did the marketplace stop? Science doesn't stop. So then that's when we started researching. We're like, okay, what's out there? So then we went to medical journals. We're like, who's doing what? Who's doing research in this area? And we started finding that there was actually been a lot of advancements and studies, but no products. So what we're doing, there's amazing work with stem cells, with probiotics, with amino acid complexes, with peptide complexes. There's all this amazing work being done, but it wasn't in products. So when we start discovering all these things being done, that's when we're like, we took all those studies to a lab here in California. And we're like, listen, can't we take all of these products and all of these formulations that people are making and put them in one product at the clinical strength that's getting the results? That was essential. And so essentially, and they were like, I don't know. And then it took a couple years and we figured out a way to do it. And then that's when we released our first big release in 2016, our More Naturally 9. And then from that point, every product released since then, we've taken that same approach of like, what's the problem? Okay, who in the world is solving this problem in a way that fits in with our standards and our company values and our morals and our viewpoints of life, which is like all natural, no drugs, no side effects, no lifetime usage. Who's really making a change here? And then we find it, and then we take it to our lab and we're like, how can we source this? How can we make this available for people to use?
Very cool. When you talk about the research and all the stuff you guys have looked into, moving on from the Rogaines and Propitias of the world, stuff that definitely, I admit I've used Rogaine in the past. It did not make me feel great. Gave me some side effects. Didn't like it. Quit it. Hair's fine. Yep. But what do you think for you guys have been like these huge research breakthroughs that maybe people haven't heard about, or things that are behind the scenes where it's like, man, the science is pretty cool, but like nobody's talking about it? And obviously you're rolling that stuff into your products.
Stem cells. That was the big thing. Like we were actually the first company to introduce the topical application of stem cells for thinning hair to market back in 2016. So yeah, it was stem cells were the big things. And then also the amino acid complexes that we were finding were pretty compelling. That was pretty compelling what we were discovering in that area as well.
Yeah, and I don't need obviously to get into trade secrets, but when we talk stem cells, what's kind of the mechanism there? Because I know you talked about the DHT and the potholes.
Yeah.
How does stem cells fit in with that part of it?
So the thing we found that Italy product was that it actually was helping to get the DHT off the follicle. But what was happening was that when the blood was flowing back to it, we were finding there was so much damage that the hair wasn't coming back strong enough or fast enough. So that was an issue. So we're like, well, if we can get the blood flowing back to it, then what? Like, and then, coming from a holistic and natural point of view, we're like, well, you want to get it nutrients to help fortify and support that rebuilding. And so we're like, well, nutrients like vitamin A, vitamin D, what is that? What are those nutrients that are really going to help rebuild and rejuvenate that damaged follicle that's been damaged for so long? Because the blood flow alone, we were finding, wasn't necessarily bringing it back as strong as it needed to be. And that's when we came across the stem cells, because the stem cells were aiding in the rebuilding of the follicle. That's where we came to that from that thought process brought us to the stem cells.
Do you guys find that, and I don't, is there a point of hair loss where the follicle is so damaged there's not a recovery chance? Or are you guys finding that research is starting to even find ways to kick back what we've lost? Like when I'm talking complete hair loss, I understand that thinning hair and things, it seems like you guys looking through your website and stuff see improvement in that. But if it's gone, is it able to come back?
Not yet. Nothing that we found. If it's gone, it's gone. If the follicle's dead, there's nothing that can be done. And a lot of times, if there's been a lot of damage, if it's been going on for a long time, there are dead follicles interspersed with the live follicles. So if someone's been losing their hair for like 15, 20 years, their hair is not going to come back to the way they were when they were 18 because there's dead follicles in there. Okay. I mean, we can get it back like 10 years, 15 years. I mean, I'm just spitballing, but we can get it back, but not all the way because there are dead follicles mixed in there.
Okay. I was always curious about that. The point of no
wish.
return.
We're working on it. One day.
Yeah.
One day.
What do you guys got for gray hair? Anything?
You know what? That's always on my mind as like, because people ask me that.
Yeah.
Like at least 4 or 5 times a week. Someone's like, what about gray hair? What about gray hair?
Just for men.
Yeah.
Nick, that's more chemicals. I've dyed my hair before too. It's the same thing as Rogaine.
Simple answer. Just looking for a simple way out.
Wreaked havoc on my scalp.
There's little. I had some samples laying around my office of little things we're playing with, but nothing solid yet.
You need a test subject. Let me know.
All right, no problem. I'll send you.
Especially beard hair. I don't know if you guys work much with beard hair, but
we actually. Not for the gray, but actually a lot of people use their products for beard. It wasn't tested for that, and it wasn't made for that.
Yeah.
But we do have people that use it and for it and are very happy with it.
Well,
whenever they ask, like
it's not tested. Fill it out.
Fill it out. Help fill it out. I mean, like again, we don't. That's not what it was made for. It wasn't tested for that, but our clients use it and they're like, "Hey, it's working great for my mustache." Like,
that's sweet.
Great to hear it.
That's super cool. Yeah. Is there any other stuff in the pipeline you guys are looking at right now? I mean, again, not to give away the secrets, but other research breakthroughs and stuff that you guys are seeing.
I always have my feelers out. We just released a product, and then we have 2 more that we're building out right now. But I'm always looking, because it's like we're not 100%, but I want to be. We don't have no one has 100% success rate, but ideally we would. Hopefully we will someday.
Yeah.
So I'm always like have my feelers out to see like how can we be. I mean, I always want to be better.
Yeah.
I'm always looking at how can we make it better.
Very cool.
Even though I think it's the best thing available right now. I'm always looking how can we be better.
So how many clients do you typically work with in a day?
Well, I mean, we have a whole staff here. I do take a couple a day just because I like to be, part of it.
Yeah.
We're a lot. We talk to people all day long because part of our thing is I have our phone number on our website, morehairnaturally.com. It's on the top bottom of every page.
Mm-hmm.
And part of the reason I have that is because we want to help people make their lives better. And a lot of times when they have their attention on their bodies, they're not 100% in the world. Because you go out and if you have if you're thinking about yourself and you're concerned about yourself, you might be a little hunched over. Or you might not want to make eye contact as much. Your attention is in the wrong place. Your attention should be forward and on the people in front of you, not on yourself. So we always encourage people to call and we just talk to them about their hair, their situation. And we try to track down the reason they're losing their hair. Because we find if someone understands the reason and understands what needs to be handled in order to achieve their goal, and that there are answers out there, just knowing that alone will give someone a boost in confidence and a little relief in their life. So we talk to people all day long, and sometimes it's diet, sometimes it's exercise, sometimes sometimes it's stress. There's a lot of things that can be doing it. So we're talking to people all the time about hair and their situations in life and stuff like that. And if after the conversation, we think that our products will help them. You know, we definitely offer them our products, but that's not a prerequisite for the call, you know.
Gotcha.
Very cool. Yeah, I think we would all be in support of looking at people as a whole person.
Yeah.
Instead of just a hair follicle, right?
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
That's pretty cool because you guys have a pretty decent little chunk of product, right? I mean, different things you guys offer. I've obviously looked through the website and stuff. It's pretty cool. You guys offer a lot of opportunity there for people. So morehairnaturally.com, right?
Morehairnaturally.com. Yeah.
So
and, I mean, that's
people check it out. Very cool.
That's cool.
Now I got one more question for you. And again, morehairnaturally.com. Check it out for products. You want to slow some hair loss, get some regrowth, get some strength, some follicle health back there. But
call the numbers. Call the number on the top or the bottom if you just want to
check the website. Yeah. Is there things just quick that you find to be stuff in the day-to-day life for people that really affects like hair loss that people can start looking at just even on their own today, where it's like, and if there's a couple lifestyle changes that you find on average really affect hair for people? Again, I don't need you to give away all the secrets or anything, but
stress is huge. Stress is a huge factor in hair loss, and as much stress as you can like learn to manage, or I mean, even in your body, stress is a terrible thing for your body as well. But it definitely affects hair, and it definitely affects hair loss. So we always look for ways to help people maybe pinpoint areas of stress in their life and how they can be more in control of those areas.
So is the mechanism there? Is it just more like production of DHT, so you're creating more of those potholes? Is that kind of the mechanism there? You're shedding more of it?
Yeah, well, I mean, you don't. The potholes aren't created. The potholes are inherited. Okay. But it does mess with your hormone levels. But even if you don't have a lot of, like, you're not producing a lot of DHT, and your hair loss isn't because of the DHT buildup, what the stress will do is it throws off, it puts you basically into a fight or flight mode, and it will shut down the areas that are responsible for the hair and the nutrients of the hair, and it shuts that down. So even if
like
you're
a different mechanism.
Yeah, it's a different mechanism. And when people have stress related hair loss and they call us, we do two things. One is we look for areas, like, just quickly, because a lot of people don't necessarily want to share with some stranger on the phone, but we try to like be like, hey, well, where is that stress coming from? If you could pinpoint it, and then how can you be more in control of that area? Because if you're in control of something, then it ceases to give you stress and ceases to give you problems. But also, so interesting. It's a shorter program. So if someone has stress, like, they'll just use our products to get through that stress time, and then they just stop. So what essentially we're doing is we're helping reinforce and counteract the side effect of the stress. And then when they can get through that, we just help rebuild and fortify, and then they stop because it's fine. They won't need it at that point, because they're back on track.
It's cool. So it's not always a forever thing.
We don't want to be a forever thing. That's not our goal. Because who wants to be dependent on a product outside their body in order for their body to work, or in order for them to feel that they need to go forward in life? I mean, you shouldn't feel dependent on anything in order to go out into the day. And so I don't want that. I don't want to contribute to that concept or that mindset in any way. So
very cool.
Based on based on what we learn about somebody through the consultation, if they choose to call us, a lot of people just go to the website and just buy, and they're fine. Some people call, and if they do, we're like, it'll be like 6 months, then teeter off and then stop, or a year, then teeter off and reassess how you want to go and what you want to do. Or even sometimes it's 3 months. If it's just a stress thing, maybe it's just a 3-month program, and then teeter off and then stop.
Very cool. Very cool. No, I think we could probably talk hair stuff for a long time.
Yeah,
definitely talk testosterone stuff for a long time. That's been a side product. I've been on a testosterone replacement journey on our pod as we've talked about some of that stuff. So that stuff's always interesting for me too. But no, I really appreciate the time. Very cool stuff. I know we're on a little bit of a time limit, and everybody wants to know who our top hair bands are. So we should kind of roll into that. Do you got anything else? I mean, we can hit again as we finish up our top 5, but I want to give us some time for that too.
Sure. Well, just like, here's the thing that I just think is important about hair loss that I think people should just, I don't know. It's just, I think it's important. Hair loss, because people like feel like, oh, my hair's thinning, but why should I care? You know, like I don't want to be like vain. I don't want to have that kind of, I don't want to be vain. I shouldn't be interested in my looks. It doesn't matter. And I think some people, when they call, they feel bad, especially guys. They'll call and they'll feel a little bad that they're concerned about their hair loss.
Yeah.
You know, like, I shouldn't really care. And the truth is, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? And it's a subjective thing. What matters is that you feel good about how you look. That's what matters. Because when you feel good about how you look, like the physical does affect the mental. It just does. You put on a nice suit, you're like, oh yeah, it's on today. You know, you're wearing your sweats from the weekend. You're like, maybe I'll watch TV and eat chips. You know, we want people to look in the mirror and be like, I look great. I feel great about how I look, and I'm ready to go out and kill it. So that's what we want people to achieve. So if somebody is looking at themselves and they have attention on their bodies or attention on their hair, it's like, let's fix that. Let's take actions to fix that so that you don't have to think about it and you're not concerned about it. And the best thing about that whole thing is that you don't have to achieve the end result to have the confidence boost or the confidence and self-esteem and motivation kick in to tackle your day. You know, like the best example that most people get is like when you go to the gym. You know, you go to the gym, you work out hard for about an hour, and at the end of the hour, you look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, oh yeah, I'm killing it. Let's go. But you look the same as you looked an hour ago. You know what I mean? But you know that you're taking the right actions to get you where you want to go. And so knowing that you're taking the right actions gives you the confidence that you need to take other actions in your life. It gives you the confidence that you need to tackle other areas of life, because you're like, I'm taking care of business. I'm not there yet, but I'm taking care of business. And so we always want people to know that, like, if you have attention on yourself, let's take those actions to get your attention off yourself. And that's cool, because then you're out in the world again and you're killing it. And that's really our goal, is to get people in that state of mind.
Yeah. I
can't
disagree with that,
we work
fellas.
with patients.
Yep. I think
very cool.
We'll see a lot of parallels.
Yeah. No kidding. Yeah. Very cool. Final statement on that thing. I like that. Ended that thing on a high note. All right, gentlemen.
Almost as high as
we got Axl Rose.
What?
Yeah.
Almost as high as all of them.
All of them.
Yep.
Yeah, that's perfect. I know, Mahryah, we're up on a little bit of time on this, so we'll start, and we might end up just maybe having to fire through your list as we go around just to get your top 5 and then finish up after you take off. But we'll make it work. All right.
Let's hang out. We got time.
All right. I don't want you to miss your stuff, but
okay.
Let's hit top 5. So how we do this is we go round robin. We'll start from 5. Everybody will hit our 5s. We'll go back, do our 4s, and we'll just end at 1.
Okay.
So Nick, you want to start this bad boy off? Because I feel like you're the pro.
I kind of feel like I'll teach you guys a little something here.
Yeah. Time to educate me.
All right.
I learned a lot about hair. I'm ready to learn about hair metal now.
All right. Coming in number 5, little band called Cinderella. And jump right into the titles right away.
Cinderella.
Big fan of Cinderella. Tom Kiefer, amazing vocalist. I'll just rattle off, drop a few gems, and then we'll pass the mic. Shelter Me, Nobody's Fool, Gypsy Road was like a huge hit for me and my buddies. Night Songs, Don't Know What You Got Till It's Gone. They were like
the one I know,
and building up some of the ballads.
Now I know who Cinderella is.
Yeah.
You know, but it's the ballads, the Cinderella ballads I never could handle.
Oh, okay.
I just I could get it. I can get into Cinderella, but the ballads just kill me, because
I don't disagree with you, honestly. Like, I threw those out there because they'll like Jeremy, like, oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. But to me, it's like Gypsy Road, Shelter Me. Like they're up tempo stuff's like where I dig them. So that's my number 5, fellas. Now,
You'll
where do we want
see
to go to
probably
next?
a theme with Jeremy and I. If these songs were not on a 90s compilation disc sold at 11 o'clock at night, I might not know the song titles.
Correct.
Just so you guys
Correct.
know. Monster Ballads. Or
yeah, Monster Ballads 1 through 10.
Yeah.
So my number 5, I'll go next. And again, like hair metal, I was going back and forth on which bands truly were, and I think a lot of these bands will say they were not.
Okay, I'm ready for a good debate too. I hope.
Go right ahead. This band I think was probably on that edge where they would have probably preferred to be just considered really good musicians, but it's Def Leppard. I think they got the hair, they got some of that song, the Pour Some Sugar on Me, that kind of stuff. Definitely fell into it. I felt like they also had just, I mean, Pyromania is just a killer album. I mean, everything on there is good.
So good.
Such a good album. They're on my list. Yeah. Def Leppard's on my list. I think Def Leppard is hair metal. I think they are, because they're
I think their peak was hair, but I think they started with like the new wave of British metal and like High and Dry and On Through the Night's a little heavier. You're right. There's a big shift between Pyromania and then like Hysteria. Hysteria is obviously
good. Rock of Ages. Rock of Ages. What the hell is that opening sentence?
German. I know that.
Is it? Do you know what it that you know, any idea?
No idea. I believe they stole that from The Offspring, if I'm correct.
Offspring. Yeah.
Reverse.
Or the Muppets.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So Mahryah, do you want to go next? Then we'll finish with Jeremy.
Jeremy
for last.
For last.
Keep our guests in the middle. We insulate you guys.
5. It was such a hard call. I'm gonna put Poison at number 5.
Yep.
Just they're so. I mean, I don't even know if you could call them metal at this point because they're so poppy.
Yeah.
But that's kind of why I like them. There's nothing heavy about them, but they're just poppy fun.
Yep.
Yeah, I think for me as a not hair metal guy, these guys are like the worst. Let's take like everything you hate about hair metal and just concentrate it into our band.
They're so poppy. Like their songs are just simple, like bubblegum cheese, but they're fun.
It is fun. Like you hear some of those songs come on and you're like, oh, nothing but a good time. You're like, okay, we'll crack some beers, crack open the wine, whatever. It'll be a good time. Who cares?
All right, guys. My number 5.
Based on Google.
There were a lot of Google searches on this. So I knew one song from my number 5. Nice. But they were on a lot of lists. It was Warrant.
Yeah.
Ain't bad.
Cherry Pie was a good song. That's all I know about them. So
you're missing the best stuff. Oh my gosh.
Am I? I'll have to do some
Down Boys.
Can't say I've ever heard of that. So
my brother had that cassette and we had to listen to that a lot.
Yeah. Which one? Cherry Pie?
The one with Cherry Pie. Was that like a gal in a car? White cover.
That was banned. I think they had to do it. They got a little trouble. Yep.
Ooh, risque.
Very provocative times. Yep.
Yeah.
But Warrant, good cut, Jeremy. I like that.
Yeah, that's deeper than anything on my list, Jeremy. Well played.
Yeah.
Thanks, Google.
We'll keep these rocking and rolling here.
I got my. Oh, it's you're up. Sorry, Nick.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was gonna jump you. I was speeding it up. Go on.
You're all dogging this list now. You're all amped to do it. My number 4 is Bon Jovi. You talk about like some monster period of time for them, like 84 to like really 90. They were kind of like Mahryah said Poison. It's like Poison and Bon Jovi to me are like kind of like that penultimate, like the hair, the look, everything. But they actually had some chops too. Like Richie Sambora was an amazing guitar player. I love like a lot of stuff off of Slippery When Wet, just really great stuff. And New Jersey, actually preferred the New Jersey album over Slippery When Wet.
Really?
Yeah, I do. Lay Your Hands on Me, Bad Medicine. A good 1-2 punch to kick it off. Fun stuff. They were like the hair metal version, like totally ripping off Bruce Springsteen as well. By the time they got to that, like if you listen lyrically, everything's about like, we're blue collar. We're like, basically stealing the Tommy, working at the dock, and then just building off like, yeah, we're super like rough and on the edge and blood on blood, all these great.
But
great
they weren't
tracks.
really rough. They were kind of like Poison. They were like safe metal.
Yeah, totally. And people, I think there's a lot of haters out there who will say one of the biggest reasons is if you listen to like the crowd reactions, it was such a higher pitch, and they were like they had so many more women in their crowds than they had guys. But the hair metal guys argue, what's wrong with that, right?
Yeah, what's wrong with that? I know. Yeah.
That's my number 4, Bon Jovi.
All right, my number 4, a band that definitely says they are not hair metal, but I think they are fit into it just based on theatrics alone. It would be Twisted Sister. So I think this one's a little more nostalgic for me. There was a time as a kid where I thought Kiss and Twisted Sister were like the coolest, baddest ass bands around. Fun rock. It was fun to sing on. You partied all night and part of the day as well as a kid, and Twisted Sister, I want to rock. We're not going to take it. Just those were ballads just bangers as a kid, and they still hold a spot for me. Like I said, hair metal is not huge for me, so
it's good.
Sister.
Didn't so Dee Schneider wrote a song that what's her name? Big Vegas.
Celine Dion.
Celine Dion recorded a Dee Schneider song.
Really?
And apparently Dee Schneider has this quote that says, "Celine Dion bought my house for me."
No kidding.
Yeah,
nice royalties there.
Some Christmas album or something like that.
The Christmas song by Celine Dion.
She recorded some Dee Schneider song.
Yeah, pretty cool. Pretty cool.
All right. Dee Schneider loved Christmas.
Mariah.
All right.
Number 4.
I have to say number 4 is probably I'm going to give my number 4 to Def Leppard. I know you gave that your number 5. But I'm gonna have to say Def Leppard is because that Pyromania and High and Dry album, they're just so good.
Mm-hmm.
They're just so good. And then the story too, the Def Leppard story, like the drummer, he loses his arm and the band stays together. They stick with him through rehab. Yeah. They basically invent a drum kit when sampling was still like in the newer stages, I mean, and then they start releasing hits and hits and hits with the sample drums,
Yeah.
Awesome.
I mean, it's
a cool sound for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Hysteria is a bomber album. I mean, it's like I said, that's pure hair. That's hair, but it's good. Holds up.
All right.
Jeremy, where did Google lead you next?
Google took me to, you know what? I also put them in order of like the number of songs I knew from them. So
that's a good way to do it.
So number 4 ended up being Motley Crue. So
Crue's on mine.
Had Shout at the Devil, Girls, Girls, Girls. That about ends the catalog of Motley Crue for me.
Oh no. That's it.
That's good. 2 songs at number 4. I like I can't wait to see what band 5 songs from.
Okay. All right.
There were like 3 at 2 apiece. So
okay.
Wow, that's exciting stuff.
Yeah.
Like me and hamburgers.
Just missing out, boys. Moving on to top 3s. My number 3. This is probably the deepest cut, most non-commercial band out there, and they're kind of more considered kind of like goth rock too, but due to their sound sensibility, I'm going Wasp. If anybody's familiar with Wasp.
Blackie
Lawless, yes. The crotch pistol, everything that went with the theatrics. But musically, they were, in my opinion, they were just really fantastic. Wild Child, Love Machine. There's a theme to a lot of their stuff. Mean Man, Harder, Faster. But they were just raw and but musically, like really, really good. And they were kind of like the band like that. I'd sneak away and listen to, knowing it was like wrong, right? Like this, I probably shouldn't listen to this, but dang, I really like it.
I still feel that way when I listen to Wasp.
Yeah,
I won't put them on. My kids,
it's like still worried someone's gonna come in.
Exactly, like the guilty pleasure type stuff. Yeah.
That's funny. You and Wasp was me and Snoop Dogg. That's fair. That's fair.
Correct.
I like that. All right, my number 3. This guy hit our top 80s male vocalist, so the band had to make the list for me. It's Skid Row. I know it was right at the end of the 80s. Probably liked him a little more in the 90s than the 80s, but still pretty solid. You know, I think Sebastian Bach's vocal talent was probably above and beyond a lot of the other guys, even though they all could sing high, but he had pretty good range. I like that.
He's on Broadway now.
Yeah, I mean, he's
big on Broadway. Yeah, musicals.
Yeah, just a very tall man. I know Jeremy can appreciate that. So I think, yeah, like Jeremy, I know about 4 of their songs and they're all bangers. Actually, that first album,
that entire first album might be the best hair metal album ever made. I think that's a hot take. I have hot opinion. Yep.
On Skid Row, huh?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. See, they're another one. Their ballads kill me. I can't handle the Skid Row ballads.
I think
even though they're so popular, people love them. I can't.
And then they didn't make my list because that first album was like True Hair, and then that was it. The next one they toured with, like, they spent 2 years touring with Pantera, and then all of a sudden, like, Slave to the Grind's like insanely heavy, totally different sound. But cool.
Yeah, like I said, I preferred them later, but
I had the same effect when I hung out with Pantera for 2 years.
You hung out with Pantera for 2 years?
Came back, I was just heavy.
It's too heavy.
You back on. We gotta hear more. All right, Mahryah, you're number 3, my man.
Number 3, I'm gonna say Crew. Crew is my number 3.
Not a bad choice.
I'm with Jeremy on that.
You know, 2 of their songs.
They were such a defining sound of that time. Like, you can't really get through any 80s metal without coming across Crew.
Yeah, I think for me, when I do think of hair metal, it's probably Poison and Crew for me. So, you know, if I would pick 2 bands that were like the hair metal folks, but I just don't like
Cinderella and Warrant, though, are pretty big on the hair metal.
Yeah, they definitely. I don't know if there's been a more hair metal cover than maybe like Girls, like the original, where they're on the motorcycles, they have the coiffed hair.
Yeah, and the Harleys,
fit the whole era.
That's pretty much it. Strippers, Harleys, and hairspray.
All those videos were solid gold.
Checks all the boxes.
Yeah.
All right, my number 3 has been set already. I actually knew who Dee Snider was, so this is like this. I didn't have to Google quite as much, but it's Twisted Sister. So we're not gonna take it. That's a banger.
You
probably heard that. You heard the pet band play that in like 2nd grade. You know?
Yeah.
All right. So cool.
Do you want to hit us off with your top 2 before you got to run? Mahryah?
Okay.
Super quick.
Yeah. Top 2. Top number 2, Guns N' Roses. Okay. I mean, I don't know if they were in that hair metal, but they kind of changed it. They weren't the fun hair metal anymore. They turned it dangerous. They turned it dangerous.
They were almost like what hair metal was behind the scenes, but they were out in front.
Yeah, exactly. And then my number 1, they're a little bit pre-hair metal, but they kind of led into hair metal. Halen.
I wondered if somebody would go Van Halen
on those. I was like, are they hair? Are they not?
Yeah, they're a little too early. They're like, like, what was I, 79, 78, 79?
78, 79, yeah.
And they were too good to be hair metal.
When they hit the scene. But I feel like it's
without Halen, you probably don't get there. Yeah, you're right.
Because they were the first they were like fun metal, and they had like the look. And I think hair metal took that fun party energy and the hairspray and just morphed it into something not quite as technically crazy and astounding, you know? Yeah. But I think I don't know, it's debatable if it's hair metal.
I'll allow it.
Both of those, Casey might. I'm like, I don't know about GNR. It's so gritty, like you said. But you put Sweet Child of Mine in there, that's hair metal.
But it was Poison, Guns N' Roses at the same time. Like, they were the same. That's the same era. Crew's a little earlier, but I think like Warrant, Poison, like LA Guns, all those bands, you know.
They were like, I think when people there's nerds who really go historian on this stuff, and they'll say like the first generation, second generation, third generation.
Yeah, you could break it down like that.
And it's kind of neat.
Too nerdy, Nick.
But that's fun, right? If you love music and you get it, right? Like Van Halen and crew are like first generation. Yeah. And then like it molded into like that Poison, Bon Jovi. And then they say like the third generation, you're getting into like the Firehouse stuff and like right at 89, 90, 91 as it's dying. Yeah. You know? So I think there's a place for each one of them. And they're,
Wait,
well, thanks a lot for your time, Mahryah.
Just because you said Firehouse, James Gunn, you know James Gunn is the Guardians of the Galaxy director. Yeah. So he's a huge hair metal fan, and he directed this HBO series called The Peacemaker.
Yep.
And the soundtrack to The Peacemaker is crazy.
It's deep cuts too.
It's Firehouse, Y&T, Kicks, Crew, Lita Ford, Choir Boys, Pretty Boy Floyd.
Yep, Pretty Boy Floyd.
Pussycat.
You know your stuff, man. Yeah.
It's like all these crazy tracks.
Yeah, he didn't go with like the easy stuff like right off the really accessible like, but he didn't go Bon Jovi, Poison. He went like deep stuff. Yeah.
No, when I heard, I was like, this is a crazy like whoever picked this soundtrack is a fan. Like these are fan tracks.
Probably stuff we could afford on PT Shop Talk.
Y&T use the money.
Well, Mahryah, thanks for your time. We'll finish up your top 5 after you jet. Right. Would you want to hit us up with a quick plug before you go?
Yes. If anyone's concerned about their hair, has questions about their hair, check out morehairnaturally.com. Give us a call. We'll help you out. I mean, that was a lame plug.
But I do lame plugs all the time.
Seriously, it's morehairnaturally.com, and we love to help people. We love to help people get their confidence back. We love to help people achieve their goals and do better in life and move forward. And if you can get your attention off your body and out into the world, if someone's concerned, let's get rid of that concern for you so you can just move forward.
Hey, I love the message. Love talking with you. Love working with you. See you later, and let us know if you ever want to hop on again. Talk music.
Yeah, definitely. It's a lot of fun, guys.
For sure.
See ya.
Take care.
Right. Take care, buddy. Yeah. So now we got Jeremy. Did you do 3s?
Yeah, I just did Twisted Sister.
You did Twisted Sister.
So now we just got our 2.
So you're up for 2.
I'm up for 2. All right. Well, this is fun. We've never really operated this way. You know, we're calling
Switched
an audible.
Yeah, that's all right.
My number 2, Rat. I'm kind of
with 2 T's.
I think Rat with 2 T's.
So you know it's serious, Jeremy.
I know. I saw it on Google.
They made. You're missing out. Lists. You need to go to your Amazon Music.
Out it right now. I'm gonna put a plug in for Rat.
iTunes and start like streaming. Lay it down. Slip of the lip. You're in love. Nobody rides for free. Which little trivia there. That was true. Late Rat. From the end credit of anybody played the very end
Peacemaker
of Point Break.
Yeah, I just
the original just awesome. They're I don't know what else to say. I really enjoy their crap. Number 2.
What do you enjoy about it?
I enjoy the fact that it's like every song is fairly straightforward and there's something simplistic. Like with so many of these bands, there's just something so simplistic about what they're saying, right? Their message. And I feel like there's a time and a place for each genre of music. And sometimes you do just want to have a good time, or you just want to kind of shut your brain off a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. You don't need the deeper pathos of whatever's going on in the world. So that's kind of my, my take on them. Like so many of these guys, I love the vocalist. Stephen Piercy is a great vocalist.
Oh, they're Round and Round.
Yeah, and they did Round and Round. They're known mostly for Round and Round.
Yeah. All right.
Those hits, Jeremy.
Gosh, man, I'm just a savant.
Yeah, I had no idea. This was going to be such a good list for you.
Yeah. We'll have to go on a little road trip together.
Oh, I can't wait to listen to Rat when we drive out
the whole time.
Yep.
On repeat.
Round and let's play it again, Casey. Dance.
Sure. I'm just putting my head out the window. All right. My number 2 has already been on the list. It's Bon Jovi again. And it's funny because I said Poison, like I was the worst because it took everything I hated about hair metal, lumped into a band. Bon Jovi similar, but there was something about Bon Jovi that was, again, almost like that borderline country a little bit, where it was like telling a story, and I could appreciate that. A lot of there was that to it. It was a little more storytelling than going out and like chasing girls and partying all the time. So I liked that part of it. Like as a kid, it was easier to listen to, I think, and I think like we said, there was some actual talent in that band too. And it just sounded good. So my number 2, Bon Jovi.
Very cool. Yeah.
That is also my number 2.
Oh, twinsies.
Yep. Bing. I came to love Bon Jovi during college, playing Rockstar in Guitar Hero, or Rock Band, excuse me.
What was your song?
Living on a Prayer,
Living on a
Wanted
Prayer.
Dead or Alive. So I appreciate the intro case.
Yeah, very country.
Man, just good music. So I knew the second most songs of them out of anyone on my list, so they made number 2.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
just going by the algorithm.
They might be
strong algorithm.
I had them at my number 4, but they might have been my most polarizing band too with what they released, because I really did not love they had that massive second success, with songs like Always and Bed of Roses and stuff, more of the power, like pure ballad stuff in the 90s. And I was not a fan of that stuff at all.
Leave that at home. We want the rock.
We want the rock.
We want the rock.
Rock. Yeah, that was Twisted Sister.
Yeah, see, they regret not putting them on your list unless they're at one, huh?
They didn't have enough. D. Snyder, though, give him props. He's not a bad dude. Kind of a sharp guy too, outside of the music industry.
Yeah, it's funny. Like his persona would seem like he's not. That 80s persona of him.
Yeah, yeah. So we're on to number ones. I've alluded to this, I think, a few times, but I think the absolute like peak hair metal band was Motley Crue. That's my number 1.
Man, almost nailed it with both your nicknames.
Poison's like you did. What was it? Kickstart My Heart. But I would have also accepted. Livewire. I would have accepted Too Young to Fall in Love.
Well, I gotta pick things people know, Nick, if I'm gonna give you nicknames.
Some listeners out there are yelling at Casey Hansen right now.
What? Your three buddies from Carrington in some alley somewhere right now, drinking beers on the back of a pickup.
With a raccoon.
Can't believe he doesn't know these.
You hear that, Sam, Carl? You hear that? This guy's calling you guys out.
The pet raccoon
calling you guys out on painting a picture.
He's doing a backhanded thing. I know what he's doing.
They're having the time of their lives out there.
All right, that's number 1, Motley Crue.
Yeah, I interrupted your explanation, but you just kind of thought they were just all of it, like good music
and a good presentation,
and they were like, I said this to Michelle the other night. I'm like, just the whole band, the 4 guys. You get Vince Neil, the name, no better collection of names, like Nikki Sixx, Tommy Lee, Mick Mars. I mean, everybody had their own like persona, and it fit. The only downside that I still have to these guys is like when they, they've kind of come back together a few times over the years, and if you follow music, basically they're still touring. I think they're still like cranking out some of those reunion shows, but apparently they just hate each other and they're just doing it for like the money. And, it's just very business centric. So it's not like a true, I don't know, like you'd like to believe like people.
What if they always hated each other?
Brotherhood. Well, like
maybe that was their shtick.
Maybe they went through a long period of time without Vince Neil in the band.
They like the friction too. The friction is what makes it work. Gives it energy.
You could make an argument about that.
Yeah.
Everybody's got different talents.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I have a conspiracy theory that Mick Mars is a mummy.
He suffers from ankylosing spondylitis.
Is
right?
That why he looks like that?
Yep. Oh, very interesting. Yeah.
I had no idea.
Famous people who.
Not that he's a mummy.
Yeah.
Okay, he's a mummy.
I mean, he's cursed.
That's more
sounds
logical.
Like regardless. But
he was given a curse.
Okay.
Yeah. Very, very interesting. Yeah, I found that out like 10, 15 years ago. I'm like, wow, that is you don't hear of that often at all.
Not at all.
But so if you're wondering why he's a tad bit rigid, that would be the reason there.
Well, I apologize if he's listening. I didn't mean to make fun of a terrible disease that you have. I'm sorry.
Buy a drink. Funny guy time. Now.
Yeah. Way to bring it down. You could have said that off pod.
Who's the funny
All
guy?
All right, moving on.
Hey, number one.
Again, controversial potentially, but it's Guns N' Roses. Again, top singer for me. And I get the are they hair metal, are they not? Like you said, you put Sweet Child of Mine up there, and it's like, well, that's a hair metal song.
Hair metal, yeah. But the rest of the album, like, right?
Yeah, there's probably not the rest of it.
Definitely not GNR Lies.
Yeah, and they probably almost become a little more hair metally later, with
November Rain.
Yeah, some of that stuff and Patience and things like that. But I think just from a band standpoint, by far, I think the best band. Say what you want to about lead singer. Kind of a interesting voice now that you look back on it, but
he's fantastic.
Just crazy range.
Yep.
Nobody else can sing like him, probably that style of how he sang. Obviously, Slash killer guitarist. I mean, still had some pretty solid guitar solos in their stuff. So yeah, Guns N' Roses.
Yeah, so. I just can't obviously love them as a band. I do. Yeah. I just can't put them as a hair band. I mean, they're just that whole album.
Just hard rock for you.
Yeah, like I don't know if there's ever been a more hard rock band. There was like the Rolling Stones. Yeah. As they got there, and then there's like GNR as just like hard rock.
Yeah, because like, when you say that, it's like, man, there was like when you look at the 80s, there wasn't it was like all these genres kind of popped up in the 80s, like new wave and speed metal and death metal and hair metal, and then like there wasn't a lot of hard rock. I mean, Queen. But who falls into that?
Theatric,
but they're more prog rock, probably. If you're gonna maybe lump them into something, even like Prince, probably more prog rock than like a hard rock, or even I don't even know where you put Prince. But
Prince is like his own thing, right? He's like merged R&B, rock. Yeah.
So I think that is the hard part about Guns N' Roses is they didn't necessarily have peers in their genre in the 80s.
Correct.
Really, to compare them to.
Helped them stand out, right? Like they were fairly unique to a point. But yet when like certain songs came out, like you can't deny their talent, right?
Yeah.
Like talent is going to rise up, and like Welcome to the Jungle sounds like nothing else that was coming out at that time. People gravitated to that. Sweet Child of Mine, there you go. You got a massive hit, but there's you got your hair metal audience right there, right? But I mean, man, there was something special, and I kind of believe. Like low key MVP is Duff McKagan in that band. Like the bass riffs were great, and and apparently he is very He was a big songwriter in the band and very responsible for because they also meld like punk. There's like a speed punk piece to what they do. If you especially, their Spaghetti Incident album is a bunch of covers, right? And that is very punk heavy. And that was Duff's thing when he came out of Seattle. Like he was part of like a punk band and then went down to LA and
everybody in Seattle.
Yeah, Seattle.
That must have been a wild time. Like LA in the 80s, Seattle in the 90s. Like it must have been fun, those areas.
Seattle has a lot of they've had a Jimi Hendrix came from Seattle, Hart came from Seattle.
Jimi Hendrix, I didn't know that.
Yeah, the grunge scene. When I was out doing during my third year of PT school, I did a rotation, orthopedic outpatient one, and checked out they have a music museum out there.
Mm-hmm.
A really cool thing. It basically is an homage to everybody who came from there.
Yeah,
in that area.
Yeah, I was out there once, and they had a Nirvana thing going on at the time at that museum. It was super cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like just the stuff, like songs he wrote in middle school, in little notebooks and stuff. Yeah. And it's kind of like I'm not like a huge history buff guy. I'm not like a big nostalgia guy that way. But some of that stuff, when you saw it just had a weird feel to it. Like you just felt the energy. I don't know. It's like a moment. Mm-hmm. It's weird.
And that surprised me a little bit with you, right? But I'm a bit, like I said on here, I'm a self-professed nerd for this type of stuff, and.
Yeah.
Just breaking down the genres and who influenced who really and that stuff. But I'm jaded too, because that stuff shifts with whatever sounds kind of trendy at the time to say that you were influenced. Even to this day, Tommy Iommi and Geezer Butler will say that they'll say that Black Sabbath isn't a metal band. They'll say they're a blues band.
What?
And you're like,
I hate that argument. That's so dumb.
But that's
so dumb.
But they're the band, right? So how do you argue with the band?
But, you're wrong.
Yeah,
it doesn't.
I'm not gonna say people in bands are the smartest people.
No, but they're so you can, and when they break it down and you think about it, you're like, okay, I can see musically where they have some blues infusion.
Yeah,
the tempo, but yet they really distorted stuff and played the D chords. It's metal, right? I mean, it's
right.
It's kind of.
I mean, it was the beginning of metal,
Yep.
I mean, I suppose like anything in that transitional phase, you could probably go either way, but when you create a sound, that's your sound, you know.
So with that, it was, and where I got that was from a documentary from this dude. He's out of Canada, Sam Bush, I think his name is. He used to have a show on like MTV Classic or VH1 Classic, one of those two. And what's very interesting is, I'll wrap it up. I want to hear Jeremy's number one, but he talked, so with Black Sabbath having that mentality, right, in the band, he was trying to figure out like, okay, who is the first metal band? If Black Sabbath isn't, and who's willing to claim it, right? Do you know who it was?
So who did?
You know who it is?
Led Zeppelin.
I don't.
No, because Led Zeppelin's kind of like their own prog rock.
Blue. I mean, that's more blues than Black Sabbath.
Blues, very bluesy, yeah. Very eclectic too. But it's Judas Priest.
Really?
So when they put all this stuff together, finally, like, and Priest is okay to own that, right?
Yeah, I don't think they'd hate having that for sure.
They're like, we'll be known as that. But Black Sabbath, they're like, we're just a heavy blues band. That's all we are.
That's all we are.
That's all we are. What do you got, Jeremy? What's number one?
Okay, Harry Potter. My number one was gonna be GNR. I know like 6 songs from them, that was the killer. So, and you know what? I in my Google searching, there were about 10 different lists that left them off there, and I'm like, where the frick is GNR? And then I found one that put them on there, so I figured that was
good enough.
Yeah, I've got plausible deniability.
Man, Jeremy, like a couple gals in sorority houses, we are synced up right now. Good way to end our list.
We really are.
That is solid.
That was
feeling
fun.
good. Feeling good about it.
I'm glad Mahryah is getting us to stretch ourselves.
Yeah, that's good. But
I want to hear him and you have a hair metal debate.
Yeah, I felt like there was a lot of meat on that bone.
Yeah,
holy moly. Yeah, you guys could talk a while. That's interesting conversations. I had a lot of questions to ask. Wish I could have had them on longer. A
lot of very cool parallels to what we talk about.
Oh man, I do love the message of like, you just feel better about yourself, get out there, do stuff, empower people.
Patient empowerment. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, we were doing that stuff all the time. If it makes you feel good, it makes you feel good, regardless of what the stigma is or lack of stigma, whatever you want to say, I mean, there's some of that,
I knew he was short on time. I didn't want to go into this piece, but what he's describing is actually a kind of common expression in the fight game between boxers and UFC fighters. But it's like guys who get, a new haircut, clean it all up before a fight. And it's been pretty common, and the expression is look good, feel good,
play good.
Yep. So there, and you see it now, maybe to a degree, right? The culture in the NFL's shifted where every organization,
I think Hoops had that first. I think Hoops had that first. A lot of style infused in that.
Yeah.
Look good, feel good, play good, man. You guys never said that?
Look good, feel good, fight good.
Yeah. You never said that before UFC though? You didn't say that growing up?
I never really heard, like, I actually got that out of like surprise, like another documentary that was related to like fighting and the approach that people have taken for decades on it. Might even be, I could be wrong. I know it was like the era of Muhammad Ali, but whether he was the one who really
I could see him
started like driving that, and because he wasn't afraid to say he was so pretty, right?
Yeah.
And like didn't matter. He could look good and still beat the hell out of you,
Yeah.
That's real.
That is interesting. I know when I've done some of the pain science stuff, it's something we don't spend a lot of time with, but I know when I've had class with Adrian, he's talked about that, where he will actually have patients like dress up to come to therapy.
Interesting.
You know, because a lot of times your chronic pain patients show up hair undone, sweatpants,
pajama pants,
right? And like that's one of his steps as he's working with patients is to say, all right, when you come to therapy, I want you to get up, I want you to do your hair, put on makeup, I want you to wear nice clothes and come to therapy, just to break your mindset of that, like, ugh, it's the doldrums or whatever, you know. I don't practice that maybe enough, probably because you worry about having that conversation with people to be like, hey, you look like hell, like maybe you look a little nicer to come in, you know.
It's gonna like, pull you out of this funk.
You look tired today.
You know, but I have that like gratitude conversation sometimes with patients, especially if I feel like they can't break themselves of that real deep funk. It's like, all right, I need you to smile at people today. I need you to say thank you whenever somebody does something nice for you. I need you to hold doors open for people, you know, just something little to at least chip away at that. So I think the dress thing, you know, is one of those things too. And, you know, just for the average person, again, yeah, maybe hair loss is really affecting you, and, you know, something like this can help, you know. It's not everybody, obviously. Jeremy's a very confident man. So, you know, some people could care less, right?
Interesting take on the view on, you know, typical masculinity to shy away from caring about your looks, so to speak, right? Like I can't let people know I care about it.
Yeah.
It's the right thing for me to do is say like, nah, I don't worry about it, you know?
Yeah, I'm supposed to be tough. I'm supposed to not care, you know? Yeah, I think that's, so interesting stuff. I would like to talk about the testosterone thing a little bit more. I'm always curious on, you know, when you talk about testosterone to DHT conversion, because you can go the other way, convert it into estrogen too, you know, just wonder, you know, if they look at that process and how to change that process, because definitely that's been one thing interesting, you know, for me being on like the replacement therapy. Obviously I get my blood levels drawn all the time, and my, you know, how much I get injected doesn't change, or it can, but it doesn't typically. Yet my, you know, testosterone levels seem to very well correlate to my stress levels. You know, so it'll be interesting. And, you know, they mention it, you know, from at the clinic side, but I think it's just one of those things you say. They're like, we got to figure out what's eating up all your testosterone, you know, stress wise and things like that. And I'm like, I wonder like what the, yeah, Jeremy, the testosterone Pac-Man, you know, what is that conversion? Like, does cortisol cause me to convert testosterone faster? Like, do, you know, the free testosterone in your blood, what is that? I don't know that stuff enough, you know, like what's the trigger? And I think you were trying to allude to that a little bit too with stress. Like, what's the trigger there? Because I think it's more than just skin health, follicle health with stress. You know, it's more than the fight or flight, I would think, but maybe it's not. So,
yeah.
I get it. If you're running for your life, your body's not worried about growing glorious gray curls, but you know, at some point, I don't know. Mine seems to be. Yeah, so I don't know. There's some interesting science there.
Don't change the gray, Casey. Otherwise, people won't know how wise you are.
You know, I gotta say, don't mind the gray hair. I hate the gray beard. If I'm gonna be honest. Really? I feel old. Like again, we talk about pride. Like not at all. Like the gray hair, I'm like, oh, looks nice. That's like a nice little gray sheen to it, you know.
Yeah.
The beard just it's a Santa Claus thing, I think. Like, oh, you look like a old mountain
What if you
man.
What if you trim it down a little bit? Try to
well, that'll help, Nick. But are you just trying to say something right now?
Just try to keep it positive. Just try to keep it positive.
Clean up a little.
Maybe a little less disheveled. I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair.
Casey, what I need you to do for the next podcast is dress up,
clean your shit up a little bit. That's fair.
We gotta get you looking forward.
Take a shower.
Yeah.
Sometime before the next pod.
No, it's good to be straightforward, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah. I will.
I kid.
I don't. You know, I gotta say, I don't understand why delivery haircuts is not more popular, if I'm gonna be honest.
Delivery haircuts? Like somebody shows up at your house and does it?
Yeah, or like my place of work. Like I wouldn't do it in the clinic because I don't have space, but like Man, there would be nothing better than be like, hey, just pop by, cut my hair. I'll be in the office doing some paperwork. Like,
how often do you cut your hair?
Like an 8-week guy typically. I'm probably
8
running
weeks?
on like 12 now.
It's getting out there.
Yeah.
Do you ever what do you do for product? You just nothing? Nothing?
Oh no, I gotta do something at this length. That's why I don't like it this long, because I have to put something in it.
Mayonnaise?
I do a mixture of rosemary and castor oil.
What? All right.
This is for real?
Right.
Yeah. There is some. I'm not trying to step on Mahryah's toes, but there's some research out there. The rosemary oil is very follicle healthy. A little bit of research on castor oil being also a little bit. Plus, it keeps the curls tight. I do a little. I shampoo twice a week, condition 5 times a week probably, and then hit it with the oil most days. So
very interesting. So as we wrap this up, anybody listening to it on YouTube, because this has been very interesting pod for me, as a participant. So Jeremy, I'm just wondering, when you hear that, like, how long has it been? Do you number one, do you still care at all about hair? How long, if not, how long has it been since you last really gave a crap about, hair? I'm interested, because that's the psychological component.
Dude, I have cut, actually I just started cutting it closer. I used to just put it like a zero, like a no guard, and shave it twice a week, but that's been for well over a decade. And now I shave it twice a week. So
gotcha. Ooh. Do you have like a nice curved, or you just use straight flat razor?
No, I just do a flat razor.
Man, how do you get the nooks and crannies? How do you get that knowledge roll in the back? Did you ever nick that sucker?
No, I have nicked the top of my head before. Oof. Yeah. Man. There's safety blades though.
Yeah, that's fair, I suppose.
But I mean, I could grow hair, it would just look terrible. I mean, it's just really thin.
What would it look like? Like, just because it's
really thin?
I'm assuming Hulk
do you
Hogan.
Still have any on the top? Are you shaving anything off the top at all?
Oh yeah. I've always had a high hairline, but yeah, I've got hair over my whole head.
Okay. Yeah. It's just interesting. Like, right when you've known, I've really just known you this way for like 13, 14 years. Yeah. So yeah, it's interesting. Like, what would it look like?
Somebody showed me. I had hair down to here in college. That was a bad look. I wish somebody would have stopped me at that point.
He was doing the Hulk Hogan then, Casey.
It was.
Whenever your buddy or whoever posted those pictures of you in college, I was like, that's I thought you had nice looking hair. Oh, maybe it was just Casey. A moment in time, but it looked nice.
Oh yeah.
Pretty straight.
Very straight.
You got a little bit of curl at the end, maybe?
Yeah, if it got long enough, I get one curl at the end.
Thought I saw that in that pic. I was like, oh, that's nice. Had some natural highlights in it, looked like. That's not bad hair, Jeremy.
Yeah.
Now, honestly, like, honest question, like, if you could take a pill, rub a cream on your head, and you'd have that hair, high school hair again, would you?
No.
Ever bother? If it was reasonably priced?
Man, I'm
not trying to sell more hair naturally or anything, but
no, I think about it all the time. Honestly, I'm like, it's really nice to like shave my head twice a week, and it takes 5 minutes a week. I don't have to worry about product or shampoo or.
Oh, that rosemary oil is very pleasant. It's got a nice little cooling, almost menthol-esque feel.
Plus, I've saved a butt ton of money. If you imagine every 8 weeks getting a haircut, for 14 years.
Mine's been $0 since COVID, boys. God bless my wife.
Now, this is a weird question, Jeremy. We're going to the other end, putting you on the spot. Like, you obviously, this is going to sound weird, but you don't shampoo, condition your head or anything.
No, I wash my head.
Do you lotion it? Do you have to do anything to your scalp?
No.
It's just nice and well maintained. It looks very pleasant. Like, the skin on your head looks nice. Yeah. Do you use like body soap?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's actually technically a 3-in-1, so I guess I could say I do.
You shampoo, condition,
I do shampoo and condition it.
Okay, that's fair. I like that.
Yeah.
I'm learning so much today about hair, not hair.
But I do have
hair
to
metal.
get a little bit. I got to get a little bit more careful with sunscreen, not having any protection up there. So
even my hair is getting thinner. Like I've burnt my head probably a handful of times in like the last 5 years, and that's like
doesn't
new.
feel good. It doesn't feel
good. And I can't imagine mine's a very light. Like I'll scratch my head and be like, oh, it's a little sensitive up there. But
to do the whole dome, that would be
uncomfortable. How's a hat feel? You feel like a hat sits nice on your head, or is it annoying because it's like right on your skin?
No, I'll wear a hat when I golf.
Okay.
Well,
like even like a mesh snapback doesn't bother it too bad, or do you have to have like a cloth flex fit?
I'm a flex fit guy. I don't like. I have a couple snapbacks, but
a visor would do you no good.
Oh,
it would not.
Yeah, that's fair. Maybe that's why you haven't been champion the visors for me, huh?
I was gonna tell you guys the home opener for our Marshall Tigers football team. The guys were kind of like rocking some type of Hawaiian night, tropical night type theme, and a few of the boys were bringing back the visors. High school boys.
I bet it looks so good.
I was jealous. I'm like,
so good.
I had the same one for Billabong.
Yeah, okay.
1999.
Now, are they doing long hair and visors? Because I assume they're not doing perm frosted tips.
The long hair is big.
Yeah.
Not the frosted tips.
Because that's a different look for me. Obviously when we were growing up, visors was you pull your little curly permed hair through with your frosty tips or your spiked hair and your frosted. Yeah. Never, it was a more Guy Fieri type look to us back then. So now they're doing just like a long flow through there.
Yeah.
So they're not doing backwards upside down then.
Not backwards upside down.
Why even wear a visor then?
It'll get there.
Just wear a
hat. They'll have to be.
It'll come back.
Give it like a year.
Do you think you put the hair into the visor then when you have the long hair and it just cups it
like a man bun?
Yeah,
like a man bun holder.
Yeah, this is for my man bun. That's where I set my man bun. You got to ask these serious questions of these kids, Nick.
Yeah. Inquiring minds want to know.
At least one.
Yeah. It's just it's interesting. It's like it is. It is just it's the world's very cyclical.
The wheel of time.
I think it's very cyclical. Yep.
Round and round she goes. But I think that probably concludes episode 69 of PT Shop Talk. It's funny, the other day my wife was like, you guys know that you just like recorded yourselves rambling at the end? And I was like, no, that's every episode, honey. She's like, listen back. She's like, oh yeah, it wasn't done yet. I was like, yeah, they always devolve into ramblings. But again, thanks everybody for listening. Special thanks for Mahryah Shain coming on. morehairnaturally.com. Phone numbers are on the website. I recommend just hitting up the website. Again, hit us up on PT Shop Talk at gmail.com. You want to come in, talk about passions just like Mahryah did. I think it's a cool opportunity. That's how he kind of reached out with us. So I do check those emails. So hit us up if you got some stuff. Check us out on YouTube, PT Shop Talk, the channel, Facebook, Twitter. Don't do a lot with those, but always like subscribers and listeners and stuff on that too. So until next time, I'm Casey Hansen. With me as always, Nick Doling, Jeremy Van Kloppenberg.